Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at a couple more Star Wars Black Series action figures, and these are the ones that are done in the 6-inch scale, and I'm very excited to have these. These two characters are from the Mandalorian, so what we have here is Bo-Katan Kryze and Moff Gideon, and these two characters we learn are rivals. When Katie Sackhoff's character is introduced in Season 2, we understand that he had acquired the Darksaber from her, which was originally her property, and she's trying to get it back. So that's very interesting. And obviously, we had seen him wielding the Darksaber at the very end of Season 1, so we knew he had it. So it was inevitable that eventually Katie Sackhoff's character would come into play. So, and I'm very excited. The action figure looks fantastic. The head sculpt that they did for this figure is really incredible. Very excited to have this, and we will be getting both these out of the package later on in the video, so stay tuned for that. On the side of the package, you can see a picture of the character here, and then same picture on the back, and then we get a brief write-up on Bo-Katan on the back of the package as well. So very cool. And then over here on Moff Gideon, again, they did fantastic job on the head sculpt of this. So I think that looks really, really good. So, and of course, he has the Darksaber right here. Also a picture of the character on the side of the package, and same picture on the back, and then the brief write-up on Moff Gideon on the back of the package. So very exciting to have these, and I'm anxious to get these out of the package and take a look at them up close. So stay tuned. Okay, so we have these two figures out of the package now, and we'll start over here with Bo-Katan. Overall, just really pleased with this. I think they did an amazing job on the head sculpt. And she does come with two blasters. They're basically the same blaster, and they will fit either in her hands or in the holster. You can see this fits in just nicely in there, and that's pretty much what that blaster looks like. Pretty simple in terms of the design of it. Yeah, and so she can do the double wielding handstands with the two blasters in her hands, or you can put them in the holsters when she's not using them. She also comes with the jetpack, and that is removable. You can see that just pegs into a little hole in her back, so that's very cool. And she also comes with the helmet, and that fits on her head just fine. So that's what she looks like with the helmet on. And she gets pretty good range of motion in her head, too. There's actually two joints there. There's a joint at the base of the neck, and then a ball joint at the top of the neck. So, yeah, so she gets quite a bit of flexibility in terms of how she can move her head around. So that's really cool. This little scope also moves up and down, so you can see you can move that down into position. So that's very interesting as well. Very nice detail on the helmet as well. You can see that sort of owl pattern that she has in terms of the paint job on her helmet. So very cool stuff. Very much like that helmet. In terms of articulation, it's pretty standard on most of these Black Series figures. I did notice in terms of the shoulder armor, it does have a tendency to sort of restrict the ability to move it. You can't extend the arm all the way out. On this side, it seems to conflict quite a bit with her shoulder, so I have trouble sort of getting that in position. I think it's possible to do, but I don't really want to force it too much in terms of manipulating that shoulder too much. So, but in terms of articulation, she does get 360 at the shoulder and also bending back and forth in and out like that. Just a single joint bend at the elbow, but she does get a pivot from side to side at the elbow as well. At the wrist, pivot there, and also bending back and forth. You can see it bends this way and that way like that. So that's very cool. At the waist, she gets some side to side, front and back, and a twist right there just below this armor piece. And then at the hip, she can kick out, kick forward, kick back. There's also a thigh swivel right here, so you get some rotation there. Single joint at the knee, but it bends quite a far back, and then you also get a pivot joint there just above the knee, so that's very cool. And then at the feet, you get a bend back and forth like this. Doesn't really bend too far back and forth, just a little bit, and then you get the ankle rocker from side to side, so you can reposition the feet like that. So, very cool in terms of the overall articulation of the legs and arms and everything. And in terms of the detail of everything, I love all these pouches and everything on her uniform. Looks really great. Very happy in terms of all the sculpting and everything on this figure. Just think it looks fantastic. Okay, and so moving on to Moff Gideon. As you can see, I have him wielding the Darksaber in one hand and this blaster in the other. And the cape is removable, and thank goodness for that, because it's one of those big, heavy vinyl capes. I honestly wish whenever they do the Black Series that they would do soft goods capes, because these vinyl ones, they just have a tendency to get in the way and restrict movement. Whereas if they had done like a cloth cape, you could leave the cape on the figure and still pose it in various ways. And the other issue on the vinyl capes is that they're very heavy, and they have a tendency to weigh back on the figure quite a bit. So yeah, I'm not a fan of those. I really wish they would stick with cloth goods whenever they're going to do a cape on a figure like this. But overall, very happy with the sculpting on this. They got a nice shine on the armor pieces, so that looks very cool. And again, that head sculpt is just killer. Looks really, really good, very much like the character. On the Darksaber, you can see there's a little translucency on that. There's a little bit of clear around the edges of it, and then the middle of it is sort of painted in like a black color. So interesting. It doesn't quite glow as much as some other depictions I've seen of the Darksaber. So interesting how they handled that. It's a tough weapon to sort of render out in plastic, because it doesn't really have a way to have the luminosity and sort of creepiness of the look of the weapon itself. So I understand, the challenges involved in sort of, create an action figure version of the Darksaber. It's a tough one to sort of translate. So in terms of articulation on this figure, he can extend out. These armor pieces sort of slide up over his shoulder. So you can see he can get some extension outward, and also gets the 360-degree rotation there. Pretty similar in terms of articulation to Bo-Katan. He gets a bend there and also a pivot. And then at the wrist, he gets a rotation and also bending back and forth like this. So at the waist, again, side to side, front and back movement, and pivot. At the hip, he can kick out quite a bit, actually. This part of his clothing doesn't seem to restrict it too much, so that's kind of nice. So, and he can kick forward, kick back. He gets a thigh rotation as well, and he gets a bend at the knee. As you can see, he can bend back that far, and also a rotation there. So that's very cool. And then at the ankle, he gets a bending back and forth like this. A little bit more flexibility than Bo-Katan in terms of the ankle movement, and he gets the ankle rocker from side to side, allowing you to reposition the feet when he's doing a wider stance. So that's very cool. And this little blaster, it will fit in the holster on his hip too. So you can see that fits in there just nicely like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of overall articulation on this figure. Looks great. Really love all the sculpting on this. And but the main question is, will the Darksaber fit in the hands of Bo-Katan? That's the question, right? So let's test that out. And the answer is yes. She can wield the Darksaber. Look at that. Fits perfectly in her hand. So I know everyone was going to try that at some point. So the designers over at Hasbro knew that was going to happen. So they conveniently made it so that she could hold the Darksaber in her hand. And since the hand sculpt on both these is pretty much designed in mind for the holding those same blasters, it should be compatible with each of her hands. So yeah, that looks great. That's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more reviews of Black Series action figures in the future, think about subscribing to the channel, because I will be covering more of this kind of stuff in future videos. Until next time, I hope you're having a great day, and may the Force be with you. Thanks for watching.